Katie and welcome back to my booktube channel. For today's video, I will be doing a review of Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This book was my most anticipated release of 2021, and if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I love Stephanie Garber. I love the Caraval trilogy. It's my favorite series of all time, and it's just so nostalgic for me now rereading it. And I was super excited because this book takes place in the same world as the Caraval trilogy, and also one of our main characters is a character that we got to meet in that series. So I was really excited to dive in and get to know Jax, who I loved from that series. Also, just so you know, you don't have to read the Caraval trilogy before picking this one up. This is the first book in a completely new series, so even though there is some references and a couple characters that we have met that are referenced in this book, you definitely don't have to have any prior information. You learn everything you need to through this book, so you don't have to worry about that. Before I get into the summary of this book, I wanted to show off my little art prints that I got and candles of our main characters, Evangeline and Jax, and then also because I pre-ordered 3 copies of this book, I ended up getting this exclusive dust jacket, which is so cute, and I didn't even get any of my pre-order copies yet. I just couldn't wait any longer when release day came, so I ended up purchasing a 4th copy, and I'm not even mad about it. I'm super excited I own as many copies as I do, even though I don't have my pre-orders yet, but I am going to have the cutest Once Upon a Broken Heart collection, and I'm absolutely obsessed with this book, so I cannot wait to tell you guys all about it. So this book follows Evangeline, who grew up in a curiosity shop, which is super cool, and she falls for this boy named Luke, but she ends up hearing that he is supposed to marry another, and she's determined to stop the wedding, so she runs and tries to beg the Prince of Hearts to help her stop the wedding. And we know the Prince of Hearts as Jax if you've read the Caraval trilogy, so I'm super excited we got to see him because he was the most intriguing character from that series. But anyway, she runs to Jax and creates this bargain with him that he will stop the wedding for her if she will kiss 3 people of his choice at any time and place. And they make this deal, which most people would never make a deal with a fate, but she is super desperate, so she makes this bargain with him, and after the first kiss, she realizes that he is asking for way more than she originally pledged, and obviously some things go down, and it's super, super good. I haven't been able to stop smiling since I finished this book. I actually stayed up way too late last night finishing it, and I read it all in one sitting. I was up till almost 3 in the morning reading this book, and I don't regret it at all. It's so good. Diving into the Caraval world again was so amazing. The world building is phenomenal, and we get to focus on a different part of the world. We get to go to the Magnificent North, which is super exciting. It's a part we never got to explore before, and there is a map in the front of this book, which is stunning. We have a map of the North. I love this map so much. And while I'm showing off the book, we also have this little apple right here, which is so fun because it definitely comes into play with Jax. So I love that little tidbit on the cover. But the world building is phenomenal, and I loved getting to experience a different part of the world, and also through the world building we still get little references to the Caraval trilogy and to some of the characters we met in Caraval, so I also got so much joy from seeing some of those characters again. But reading more of Stephanie Garber's work and being in this world again just honestly felt like home, which has never happened to me before. I've never read a book that really felt like home, but this one really did, and it just warmed my heart. I was so excited to be reading some of her work again. On top of all the references from the Caraval series, We get to meet so many amazing new characters, which made this even more special. I love Evangeline with all of my heart. Like, she is one of the best heroines I've read. I just want to be best friends with her. She's just so whimsical and curious and always ready for adventure, and it's just so great to get to know her. And she's also so brave. She will do anything it takes to right a wrong, even if she's completely terrified to do whatever it takes. And that is just so courageous and inspiring. And honestly, I loved her so much that I'm considering maybe naming my future kid after her. So we'll see what actually happens with that. But I feel like Evangeline is such a gorgeous name, and I'm obsessed with her as a character. Also, her pink hair is so gorgeous. And then our other main character, Jax, like I mentioned before, he was a character that caught my attention from the Caraval trilogy, and I was so excited to be able to get his story in here, and he is one of the coolest characters I've ever read about. He is just so alluring, and the more you learn about him, the more intriguing he gets. I just kept wanting to learn more and more about him. I loved learning about like the myths about him as a fate, and also about his past, things we might have seen in the Caraval trilogy, but also just so much about him as a person, the way he interacts with other fates, learning more about his personality, because I feel like his role in the Caraval trilogy was more limited than I would have liked, but because we get the series, it was totally worth it. And I just am obsessed with him as a character. He's so cool, and I can't say I would want to be friends with him the way I want to be friends with Evangeline, but I feel like it'd be so cool to know him and to get to see him in action. Also, I feel like there was so much chemistry and tension between Jax and Evangeline. It was so cool to see. I felt like it was palpable. I loved their banter. There was so much banter that always kept me on my toes. I always love banter in books, but there's just so much chemistry, and it was so great. It was nice to see Jax kind of, I don't want to say let his guard down a little bit, because he was still Jax through and through all the way to the end of this book, but he kind of had a little soft spot for her, and it really warmed my heart. Also, he has the cutest nickname for her, and I'm not going to spoil it because I feel like you should just experience it for yourself, but I loved every single time that he said her nickname. It was so adorable and made me love him even more. Another really cool element of this book is the fact that we get to meet some more fates, like other than Jax, which is really cool. We only got to meet like 2 or 3, so I'm really hoping that we get to meet even more in the rest of this series. I just love learning all about the history and the myths surrounding all of the fates, and it's probably like the coolest part of the books for me because it reminds me a lot of mythology, which is something that I really, really love, and I love that this world has its own kind of mythology that goes along with it. And we also get some like history of this world and like the Magnificent North, and it was really cool to see that. So I really love the much deeper world building that we're getting in this series compared to the Caraval trilogy. I just loved going on this journey with Evangeline and trying to figure out the like mystery kind of that she's trying to figure out throughout the story. It was just so fun. Like I said, I feel like I could be friends with her, and I definitely connected to her the most out of any of Stephanie Garber's characters, so I definitely have a soft spot for her all on my own. Another great element of this book is the fact that there are little newspaper articles you get to see throughout it. Let me see if I can find one to show you. But it's called the Whisper Gazette, and it has little articles throughout, and then there's also different like notes and letters that characters write to each other throughout the story. So I love the way like the multimedia thing is used in here. I don't know if that's the right term, but I just love when authors incorporate different elements to the story and it's not just all, you know, straight words. I'm not really good at describing what I mean, but hopefully you understand. I really like those added elements to the story. I feel like it makes it so much more fun to read. I watched a little promo clip of Stephanie Garber saying that every character in this book has a broken heart, and that definitely carried through the story. I could definitely see that, but honestly, so do I after the way this book ended. I feel like it left me feeling so unsettled and like the best way possible. It just makes me want the second book immediately, and I'm honestly so sad that it's going to be at least another year before that comes out. I am the most impatient person ever. It was so hard for me to wait for this one to come out, and I read it the day it was published, so now I have to wait so long. It's literally torture. The best kind of torture, but torture nonetheless. I read this book in one sitting, and I really tried to take my time. I also kind of like annotated it with all these really cute tabs of all my favorite quotes and just really important elements to the world and the story. But because I read this in one sitting, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because obviously that means that I absolutely adored this story and it was so captivating that I couldn't put it down. But at the same time, it's a curse because I finished it in just a couple hours and now I have so long to wait and I don't know how I'm going to get through. I probably will reread the story each time I get one of my pre-orders that show up. So that's probably how I will get through the next year or so. But this book is so good. I need you guys to go pick it up. I need to talk about this with everybody possible. I already have told my poor fiance every detail about this book. He's not a reader, but I made him sit down and go through all my annotations with me so I could just gush about how much I love this book. If it was possible to give this book like 12 billion stars, I totally would. But because we usually only rate it on a 5-star scale, obviously this book gets 5 stars. Please go pick it up. Even if for some reason you read the Caraval trilogy and something didn't really click for you, this is so good. I feel like Stephanie Garber's writing has improved even since her Caraval trilogy, so please give this one a chance. I think you will really fall in love with Evangeline and Jax and this entire world. It's so enchanting and whimsical and just everything I look for in a fantasy, and I really think you guys will enjoy it. I feel like most of this video is just me fangirling over these characters and the world and Stephanie Garber's writing, so I'm going to cut myself off here. But if you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed hearing my thoughts, please like this video. Comment if you have read this book, what you guys thought. I would love to talk to you guys. And again, if you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. It would make my day. And if you do subscribe, please click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.